Do 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 do. Da-da-ba-da-ba-boo-boo. Zap-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. I gotta fix this stuff and make sure all the things and dots are tongue cry and all the things are going on. I gotta shut myself up a little bit. And there we go. Live stream connected. Mega thrusters are go. Was it mega thrusters? No, not mega thrusters. I forgot what it was with Voltron. Mega thrusters are a go. Form Shaney Entertaining. Da, 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 da. I form the head. I'll form arms, feet, and legs. And I'll form the head. My head just pops out of the chest. My eyes glitter. Shaney Entertaining. Da, da, da. It's supposed to be a Star Trek conversation, not a Voltron conversation. I just say we can have all things being equal. Star Trek and Voltron. Just Star Trek Voltron. That'll be the next Star Trek. Star Trek Voltron. Can you imagine Captain Picard forming Voltron? See, this is what you call between people visiting banter. This is where I talk about insane nonsense waiting for people to come on. So in case you're wondering why I'm going on this tangent, I like my early tangents. Yeah. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Fanatics of film. Star Trek STD is a disease. Hold on, I got to do my intro, guys. You can't just pop on like that. You got to hear my intro first. Space, the final. No. YouTube, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the YouTube channel, Shady Entertaining. His continuing mission to seek out as many subscribers and to boldly grow his channel where PewDiePie has never gone before. That's my new intro, guys. I hope you like it. My Star Trek intro. Yes, we will talk about STD and not the disease. Well, sort of a disease. Hey, DMFO, how you doing? TNG was awesome. It was my favorite. Well, it's hard to say. I liked all of them. They all had their own things I loved. But yes, I would say if I was to stack them against each other, the Last Jedi. I'm the Last Jedi. Oh my God, I need to be cleansed. I need an exorcism. Make it so. Number 2. Number 1. I'm going for the number 2. Yeah. I for me, TNG was the best of the Star Treks. Although I do love the original quite a lot. Yeah. TNG makes you fart when you watch. Not TNG, STD. But anyway, that's brain fart, that is. Yeah, so I want to discuss this. This is a topic that I've really wanted to talk for a long time and just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it because I used to get people on my live chat because one of my most viewed videos of all time is actually I prefer watching Orville than the Discovery. Oh, of course. Orville is way better. It's not even close. It's more Star Trek than anything we've had ever. And it's unfortunate because I like the Orville, but it sort of feels like you're watching some kind of it still feels like you're watching a sketch of Star Trek rather than an actual Star Trek, which is, I like it, but it doesn't actually feel like Star Trek. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like it's like you're watching somebody's sketch comedy performance of Star Trek, which is still good and fun and nostalgic, but it's not Star Trek, and you know it's not Star Trek, and your brain is like sad because it's more like, wouldn't this be awesome if this was actually Star Trek? Well, you guys come. Hey, thanks, Frontman 242. I deserve a better audience. I already got you guys. I don't need more than that. I've got a huge audience. The audience of love. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that even means. But honestly, guys, I don't care. As long as I get to talk to you guys, I'm all good. So yeah, Star Trek to me, the STD, I'm going to give you my take on it because I don't talk a lot about it. And there's a good reason why. I think STD is not Star Trek. And it is a bigger perversion. To me, it's a bigger perversion than even The Last Jedi. and and everybody knows how much I hate The Last Jedi. So just shows you the level of actual detestation for this infestation that I have, that is called Star Trek Discovery. And the reason why I feel it's more of an affront to is because I think that's what Star Trek Discovery is doing is actually stealing the name Star Trek. It's different than what Star Wars is doing. Star Wars is actually using characters, sort of, but Star Trek is taking and stealing the name, and it's giving you something completely different. Something completely different. You still get your Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. You still get your, you know what I mean? You still get your R2-D2s. You still get things that are recognizable as Star Wars. You get nothing that is recognizable as Star Trek. Nothing. The whole Star Trek, dude, any reaction on E9? What the funk? Oh, sorry. Okay. You want to, I did one on Fanatics of Film. If you guys want to check that, sorry. I know you guys probably didn't check. I meant to do one. But my reaction to the actual, I'll do one afterwards. I will tell you guys, I just thought it was sort of meh. The new, I will say that there's nothing that excites me, nothing that disappoints me. I think it was a very safe trailer, teaser. I'm talking about Star Trek, the next episode 9, guys, just in case you know. I'm just throwing that out there. I do think that it was a safe trailer. They didn't resolve the Luke issue for me, and that was the one thing that I was saying. If they could resolve the Luke issue, then I'll give it a chance. But until they do that, which they haven't done, I can't look at this franchise the same way. So they can have Luke talk in the background all they want. They can have his, Palpatine inferences at the end all they want. In the end, it all just seems like they're trying to patch holes, but they're not actually fixing the ship. So I don't want hole patching. I want repairs. Because the ship's going to sink, but I don't want to sit in it while it does. I want this, and the trailer was not bad, not good. It was just meh, to be honest. Hey, I hope you're right. I hope they fix it. I want them to fix it. I don't want to hate Star Trek. Star Wars. I don't want to hate it. I want to love it. That's the whole reason we want to go see these movies. So I'm pulling for this. I'm actually pulling for them to fix it. I want JJ. I'm rooting for him. I'm sitting here on the sidelines with my pom-poms going, let's go, JJ, make it okay. That was all off the cuff, by the way. And so I really want that to happen. But I also have to protect myself against being let down and hurt. Because they've wounded me deep. They've hurt me in ways that I can't discover until I go to Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, sorry. Hey there, Jay Seymour. He said, it's a guy? Yeah, it's a guy. Do you think there will ever be a crossover episode of Star Wars and Star Trek? Yes, I do. And the funny part is you think that's far-fetched, but hey, this is Mickey Mouse we're talking about. I'll buy everything up. And the minute Star Trek fails, I'm going to buy some Mickey Mouse and Disney are going to buy Star Wars and Star Trek. We'll just have a crossover. And so I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think it can happen. I think aliens could also cross over too. Why not? We'll just have multiple dimensions. Captain America goes on Star Wars. I could, who knows? Anything is possible. It would be an interest. I would like to see a Star Trek, Star Wars crossover for like a sort of just a side thing. You know what I mean? Like just one like a side show, sort of like an alternate reality kind of TV show, like just an event that just happens. And they do that in anime all the time, where they have like different anime characters come together in a show that amalgamates the two universes. And I could actually think that would be a fun idea, but they'd have to understand the two franchises they're doing first before I want to see it, because I don't want to see their take on Star Wars versus their take on Star Trek. No, I mean, not a serious thing. I don't want to see it seriously, frontman. I'm just saying on a more, just a fun, let's just see like kind of like a one of those comics when they used to have what if comics, like what if the Hulk fought Wolverine? What if Conan, fought Wolverine, or some weird stuff like that? I think it'd be fun for like one of those kind of things. Let's not make it canon. It's just sort of a fun thing we just try out just to see. But I think it would piss too many people off and it would never go well. It'd be like you got the hardcore Star Trek and hardcore Star Wars. Be like, no, the Enterprise is way faster than the Millennium Falcon. I don't care what they say. It goes, it goes faster than the speed of light this many times, and it's just so I could see that being a problem if they actually did do something like that. So I would say probably better they didn't. Stormy Daniels is Princess Leia. Yes, passionate play. I am streaming. Sorry, I meant to tell you, but I just got home and I said I got some time. Let's do this, and that's what I do. I just throw it on. I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a while though, about Star Trek, the next generation. No, honestly, I wanted to talk about the Discovery, and I know like one of my best videos, or I mean, talking about most watched videos, is the Star Trek Discovery STD review that I have, and from last year, and I actually didn't do well off the bat, which was weird. It kind of was like kind of a slow thing. Not many people watch, but then I look back and it's like almost at 2,000, and it's just like, wow, this is doing really well. I don't know how that happened. And then I get people every once in a while sending me messages. How come you don't talk Star Trek anymore? And I'll tell you why I don't talk Star Trek anymore. Pisses me off. It's like I don't even want to like. I'll indulge Star Wars to an extent because I want it to fix. What they've done to Star Trek to me, it doesn't even deserve discussion. It's just so flabber. It's not even Star Trek. It's like you're telling me it's like a puppet that you're dancing around. Not even just the title says Star Trek. Everything inside is not Star Trek, and it drives me up the wall because I can't call it Star Trek. So it's like for me to sit here and talk Star Trek about something that isn't Star Trek. People are passionate play. You say it's because people are getting more and more annoyed by SJWs, so they appreciate that kind of thing more now. The thing is, I mean, take SJWs aside for a second. Star Trek has always sort of been SJW. In a way, it's always been trying to, bring people together. It's always tried to break the boundaries of what what we consider to be social norms, and I think it's for its time, and so that's why I feel like it's always kind of gone that route. But the thing is, it's good when Star Trek did it originally. It was sort of natural. And it wasn't trying to put anybody down. It wasn't trying to make a point. It wasn't trying. I mean, it was making a point, but the point wasn't more important than the story. The point wasn't more important than the vision that Gene Roddenberry was trying to create. Star Trek to me is the only show on television that mainstream show that was really. I mean, it took a while to become mainstream, but that took the best parts of being human and humanity and said, what if we extrapolated what the best parts of humanity is and made a future that showed that human beings can be good, that humanity not only will survive, but thrive in the future. Everything else is dystopian and like a world that is just sort of looking at the most pessimistic view that humanity can come up with. Where I loved Star Trek, because Star Trek came up and said, imagine there's, imagine from like, it was just like it was a whole thing from John Lennon, imagine there's no countries, that kind of thing. Imagine all the people living life as one, that kind of thing. And that's I think that was endearing. And it also took a view of like, challenged our social norms. It also talked about technology in the future and made like what we could do with our technology and also try to, it was about the future of humankind. And that's why I also never liked going backwards, because that's another thing I find offensive, is just not offensive because I don't like that word, but I mean, I find that bothers me is that they keep wanting to go backwards. I think Enterprise failed because Enterprise went back. Star Trek is not supposed to go back. Star Trek by design is to boldly go where no man, person of color, transgender, woman has gone before. I'm trying to be PC here, guys. Um, and so that's why I think that going backwards is just, it's stupid for Star Trek. Star Trek should have been the next generation, not, and just keep going into the future, because that's what we want to see is can we survive? What if we, and then you go there, you don't have to worry about canon issues as often. So the Info, I rewatched Info, the classic Star Trek. So much hope and optimism. That's the thing. Star Trek has always been about hope and optimism, and it's always been about trying to be enlightening to people, and trying to bring hope. And I think that goes against the narrative that I think a lot of I'm going to go there, and I don't care. I think that the narrative, what corporations and people want, and is they want fear. Fear breeds, spending. Fear breeds division. Fear breeds a lot of things that lead to like we had. Without fear, I feel like they feel like they can't control us as often. So they don't want to give us visions of a positive future. Then they can't tell us, then we'll be too, I don't know. It goes against what I think the social narrative is supposed to be, that they want to tell us. They want to tell us to be afraid of everything in our shadow. And I think that leads us to being a lot easier to manipulate and control. But that's my conspiracy hat on right now. I'm just talking about as far as just being a show that we can that brings us together. And the thing is, it's not about war. It's another thing. Gene Roddenberry, he wanted a show about discovery. And it's funny how a show called The Discovery has nothing to do with discovering anything. And you have a ship, which I thought is an interesting take if it was in the future, first of all, that can twist around and go into different dimensions. How sick would that be if it was in the future and then they can go in different dimensions? Not would take Star Trek into the future, but because they pigeonholed it into the past, that they can't even explore the potential of what they've even created, which is a really interesting idea of a ship that could travel through time and space. And so when you have you've already constricted your ship into what it can and cannot do, because it can't conflict that much with canon, even though they do anyway. They kind of box themselves in. Whereas well, and so when you go to the future, I mean, if they taken the Discovery and set it, let's say, in the future, and it was just a show about discovery and not a show about war or infighting or whatever, it's just that's the thing, is that they don't look at the audience anymore with respect. And that's another thing I find. Hollywood, they don't have respect for audiences anymore. They talk to us like we're children. They pander to us like babies. They act like as if they're so mature with their statements, but they're not. They're just old statements rehashed that we've heard from years and years and years of television and movies throughout the decades. And they act as if they're being new. Oh, look, there's a female lead in Star Trek. Isn't that new? No, it's not new. Voyager had it. Janeway was freaking awesome. I loved Janeway. And don't tell me that this Michael Burnham is better than Janeway. She's not. Not at all. In fact, Voyager, if you look at Voyager, I think 50% of the crew was female. And they were all really interesting, fun characters. Torres, 7 of 9. Janeway, you had what's her, Neelix's girlfriend. She left halfway through the show. I can't remember her name. Anyway, you had a lot of girls in Voyager, and no one, and at the time no one even really cared. It was just like, it was not even a thing. It was just whatever. Yay. It was a fun show. Not everybody liked it, but I think that was more due to Star Trek fatigue, which they said happened towards the end. But that's because they were trying to push too much Star Trek down our faces at the time. But yeah, but they act like as if this is some modern thing that they have. Oh, look, we're talking about transgenders and stuff like that. No, that's not something that's new. Hey, Stormtrooper babe, how you doing? Long time no see on my channel. I'm glad you're here now, though. There was an episode in Star Trek: The Next Generation where they actually played on that whole thing where Riker was in love with was even a woman. It was like a genderless species. So they've always done this sort of discussion, and they act like as if this is new and they're breaking ground, and it's so wrong and disingenuous. And it's also what ticks me off about this entire show, is that they're grandstanding, like as if look at how much wonderful we are because this, you're not doing anything groundbreaking. We had a black male captain in the what do you call it? What was that show? Come on, guys, help me out here. The Cisco. He was the commander of. Why do I always forget the second version, the space station? I forgot that stupid name of it. Anyway, it wasn't my favorite one. I didn't really like it as much as the others. I think that's why I forgot it as much. It was still good, but I didn't like it as much. But like anyway, that's the thing. And then I watch what these guys are trying to call Star Trek, and it isn't Star Trek. And it's this, Deep Space Nine. That's the one. And I thought they had some really good. Well, LGBTQ Star Trek is fine. There's nothing wrong with including that. It's just standing there and saying, look, what we're trying to right wrongs, or which is, it's not true, because Star Trek has always been inclusive. I mean, the first black-white kiss was on camera, was on Star Trek, and Gene Roddenberry had to fight for that. He fought the networks to get that on. So it's not like, it's like it broke the ground, and everything, cell phones and a lot of things that we can attribute to a vision of a positive future, especially when you're looking into the future. I mean, how many of us were raised with the last generation, the next generation, and wanted and looked at for the first time holodecks and thought, wow, holodecks, that would be some like amazing if we could, you know what I mean? Even when you were in the original Star Trek and they had transporters, and these are technologies that inspire people to want to create these things, and scientists and people with ingenuity and people with that to actually try and create these things. Instead, we have this, let's go back into the past and they don't offer anything of value. They don't have actual scientists working on these things. I think Star Trek actually had physicists working on the show and coming up with these ideas. Data. How awesome was Data? I think the difference, Passion Places, I think the difference is that the past, it wasn't about that. They were just part of the story and had character. Now it's empty character. That's just about the identity. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It's about identity politics. It's not about the story. It's let's throw a bunch of action sequences. Let's because action is fun and it adds intrigue, and let's have a lot of infighting. I mean, there was issues with Star Trek. I'm not going to say it was 100% great. It was bland at times. It seemed robotic. But I think they had to play it that straight because the concepts were that weird. So they had to play it straight. I find Borg useless and boring. I think the Borg as a concept originally when it came out wasn't. I think it was cool, but I think it became, because there's only so much you could do with the Borg unless you try, like, I know what you're trying to say, because it's just a hive mind, like, for people who don't know what the Borg is, if you're on my thing, you like Star Trek, you know what the Borg is. The Borg is this really powerful species that pretty much they go to different planets, and they assimilate. They assimilate your species into their culture to create their ever prominent the perfect world. And that's kind of where think about it though. Isn't SJW sort of like the Borg? Isn't that what it is? We must assimilate. Like, can you imagine that's the future of the future of the world, is we're going to be like the Borg, and that's kind of a sad and scary thing. What did they used to say? We are the Borg. Something is resistance is futile. So I guess we are SJW. Resistance is futile. We will assimilate you. that is pretty much what's happening, right? We've become, the Borg has sort of taken over, and we've got to fight the Borg. can't allow the Borg to win. It's imperative for humanity to thrive. We need to defeat the Borg. So that's what we got to do. We got to defeat this Borg. Must assimilate, think like us, drink like us, talk like us. Resistance is futile. You will be doxxed on social media. Lose your job. Yeah, that is sort of thing. And that's another, isn't that interesting too? It came from Star Trek. They already predicted SJWs, even on Star Trek. That's how smart that show was. But again, it comes back to where we are now, and we have this. Well, yeah, the Borg Collective is the safe space aboard their ship. Stormtrooper Babe says, I met Patrick Stewart at Star Trek convention a long time ago in Galaxy Far, Far Away. Did that guy ever have hair? Did you ever watch Patrick Stewart? That's awesome, by the way. I wish I had met him. I wish I had met any of the cast. Even hello. I think he's the guy I want to talk to the most. Sulu. just because I think he'd probably be the guy who'd be like, everyone else would probably, kind of sugarcoat stuff and not tell you all the backstory. I feel like what's his name? Sulu's he'd just like, you get a couple of shots in him and he'd probably tell you all this dirty shit that goes on behind the scenes. Oh my, let me tell you about the toupee. And he'd just go off. I think that'd be fun. But I feel like Patrick Stewart was born bald. I don't think he's ever had hair. If you go back into, he had that movie Excalibur he was in the 80s, and he still looks exactly the same. I'm like, where's your hair? I don't know. If somebody knows any movie or any show with Patrick Stewart where he has hair, I really think he was born bald. He wears bald so well. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I ever turn bald, knock on wood, I don't. But if that ever happens, I want to go his way. Because that guy is the most handsome bald guy, and I'm a straight heterosexual male, and I'm not afraid to say it. That man has got some can wear the bald really well. But you met Sulu, man. You were aboard the Star Trek. You were on a train, weren't you? That's awesome, though. I actually never met any of them. Not even Wesley Crusher. Not even him. But I hope to one day. That would be fun. But yeah, I can't stand, like, the Orville. I think is the closest thing that we have to Star Trek. But even that, when I watch it, all I get reminded of is how much I miss Star Trek. Is that? Do you guys feel the same way? I like the show. It's fun. It's okay. It's good, but like it's good, but not great kind of thing. Like, because it's sort of a copy of something else. It's good. It's fun, but it just reminds me that it's not Star Trek, and I just like, I want Star Trek. And then I watch that show, not upset, but I'm like, oh man, I just miss Star Trek so much. He's regular on Stern Show, and he's disgusting. Are we talking about Sulu, or are we talking about Captain Picard, front man? Is Captain Picard disgusting or Sulu? Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of really good-looking black guys that are. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Black guys seem to wear bald better than white guys do. I find. I'm not sure why that is, but I feel like we don't do bald as well. But yeah, I mean, they even shave their damn head. Like when they have a full head of hair, and they don't care. We wouldn't be caught dead doing that, and this be, unless ironically we're going to join a cult or something. Yeah, so I could see that, though. I could see him being disgusting. I could see him, hello, beam me up. I could see him being that way. That's why I think he'd be fun to listen to. I'd love to have Sulu on my live stream and just let him go off. Probably wouldn't be monetized. Stormtrooper Babe says, I feel exactly the same way about the Orville. The first season was better than these newer ones. Yeah, I agree with you on that too. The first season was even more like Star Trek. I found that Orville, especially in the beginning, became far more like the Love Boat. You know what I mean? In space, it was sort of like relationships all the time, and it was like very little conflict. and I'm just sort of like waiting for some conflict in the show, but every conflict was just sort of like it was talking about ideas and concepts and stuff, which Star Trek does, but it was very much like it's just it was like I felt like it was like the Love Boat more than anything at some point, and I kind of stopped watching it, and I'm gonna go back because I have to finish watching the season, but I haven't finished it, but I have to. I like it. The next film, Beam Me Up, Biatch. Beam Me Up, Biatch. That would be great for Sulu. Beam me up, biatch. What was that? You're talking to your captain. Show a little respect. But yeah, I think that people have to, I think with the STD stuff, it's a disgrace because it's not Gene Roddenberry's vision. It has absolutely little to do with Star Trek. It has little to do with, I mean, they changed the Klingons. Okay. I mean, that'd be like, this is why I believe it's worse than Star Wars, because they didn't change, like they didn't make, they didn't change the look of characters. They didn't change, like they still look the same, right? They didn't go, well, we're going to change what Klingon, and they use the excuse that Klingons have always looked different in the original. But I mean, you can't use that excuse because they actually made an excuse for that. They actually made an excuse. Thank you for my Sulu spot on impression. Aye, Captain. I used to do a lot of the stupid those I used to like you do a lot of stand-up routines with Star Trek just because I think it was just so funny to do, like, with What If Captain Picard, why is there never anybody on this, like it was always so reserved and constrictive. So I found like no one ever said once, I thought it would be funny for just Captain Picard to go, "Number 1, you've got the helm, I'm going for the number 2," and just like takes off for the thing and then start, I just always wondered why no one talked about the toilet. The toilet never existed in the Star Trek universe. I feel like that's always the technology I wanted. I always felt like, they're some sort of poo transporter? Did they transport the fecal matter out of your system? You just go into just beam out the poo. There's like they turn it into molecular dust or used it to fuel the transporter. Not the transporter, the holodeck. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like this we should sort of ignore. People keep wanting this to change. Like I hear Doomcock wanting them to fix Star Trek, and I don't want this to be fixed. There's no fixing something because this is not. You fix something if it's broken. Star Wars is broken. Okay, they broke Star Wars. Star Wars started off okay. They broke it, and now they're trying to repair it. They never actually built Star Trek. Star Trek was never. I mean, this new Star Trek that they introduced is never and was never Star Trek. It was slapped with a Star Trek label and made us to believe Star Trek, but nothing in it. The outfits aren't Star Trek. The Klingons don't look like Star Trek. There is nothing Star Trek about this universe that they created, and so they want us to that's almost a bigger insult to me, because you can't repair something that was never made to begin with. It was not broken. It just was never created. This new version of Star Trek never existed. It's not Star Trek. Exactly. But it's not Star Trek. Oh, I know. I hate the new Star Wars, but at least you could say that Star Wars has resemblances of Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon looks like the Millennium Falcon. Lightsabers still look like lightsabers. The technology is still recognizable. There's the technology in Star Trek isn't recognizable. The style of film isn't recognizable. The characters aren't recognizable. The species aren't recognizable. They changed everything that is and ever was Star Trek. It doesn't, the only thing that's the same are the logo that they have. And that's the only thing they ever want to keep, because that's what sells. That's what they can promote. It's the brand. That's all they give a crap about is the brand. But they're changing everything else, and they want to call it Star Trek. This is Star Trek. Why? Because we said so. That's why. You see this logo that says Star Trek? It's the same pin that Picard was wearing. That's how you know. But what about the uniforms? They don't look the same. And then a couple of uniforms we'll put here and there. But no. Well, Kelvin timeline. That's what it is. You know, it's that's why I find it a bigger offense than Star Wars. I mean, trust me, I hate. I don't even know why I have to keep saying that I hate. Everyone should know that I hate The Last Jedi by now and what they've done. I'm not. I just what they've. I still find it's a much worse offense what they did to Star Trek, because at least, and Star Trek fans, because it's not recognizable as Star Trek. And I still don't even understand how people can defend that. People go out there and I see people defending Star Trek's, even Star Trek fans, they defend it. And I don't understand how you could defend. It's like, are you so hurting for Star Trek that you'll accept this bastardized version of whatever the hell you think is Star Trek? This isn't Star Trek. And it makes me wonder, did you ever like Star Trek? Because how could you accept this into your life and call it Star Trek? It's not. It's like buying a Volkswagen Beetle, and then someone selling you a Ferrari with a Volkswagen Beetle engine. It's like, it's not. It just looks, and that doesn't even look. That's even worse, because it doesn't even look like a damn Star Trek. I take back that whole analogy. It doesn't even make sense. It's nothing of this is resemblance of Star Trek. Sorry. And that's why I've held back, because I know a lot of people wanted me to talk about it. A lot of people said, what's your opinion? I have a lot of strong opinions on this. And that's why I kind of like, calm yourself, become one, mellow. Then, because if I start getting too angry, just let it go, and I'll become doomcock and just want to destroy the world. But that's not what I want to do. I'm not here to destroy the world or conquer the world. But anyway, yeah, that's why I feel that this Star Wars. And I always hated the comparison when people would say, "Well, Star Wars, Star Trek, same thing." She's a girl from the desert who fixed antenna on a droid, and now she's a Jedi Master. Well, exactly. Hey, Mr. Macaroni. Greetings. I love your name, Mr. Macaroni. I'm going to say that a lot. That's a whole other different story. We've already talked about Rey to death, and nobody likes Rey. And I think on if you checked out Fanatics of Film, the podcast we did together, and we did a kind of a breakdown of the trailer, and we showed how in the beginning she jumps over the the TIE fighter that was coming at her in the desert, and I said, if you look at the angle she's jumping on, and the speed in which it's going, I'm calling it now. Rey's not clearing that jump. She's just not clearing it. It's gonna be like a fly on the windshield of a car, driving down the highway. I just think she's gonna go boom and just be like a Garfield, like when the Garfield suction on the windshield of the car, and then somebody in the TIE fighter is just gonna use a windshield wiper and pull her off. She's not clearing that jump. I'm calling it right now. That's the end of Rey. That's how Rey's tale ends. It'll subvert all our expectations. She becomes roadkill after that. But most likely she's going to clear it, or probably enter the cockpit through some force. I don't know, some force power that we haven't seen, and just start driving the ship. That's probably what she'll end up doing. Somehow she'll have this force power that she could pass through walls and end up inside the cockpit, and then just throw out the guy on it and just start flying the ship. Because that's how amazing she is. She's just such a hero. Oh my God, I love her. But yeah. I mean, they're both an affront to what we loved, and they're both sort of an insult. And I know to use the word insult is kind of a harsh term, but that's how it feels, I guess. Patrick, sorry I missed some things. One of the girlfriends was being difficult. Damn, girlfriends being difficult. I don't know. I know what you mean. Girlfriends being difficult. They will do another Ryan Gotcha. I don't think so. I don't. I think that JJ is a safe director, and I think what you're probably going to see is a lot of pandering to both sides and nobody getting anything they really want, and everybody just. I think this one might be the one to unify us. I think, but not in a positive way, if you know what I'm saying. Like, the other one divided us in a negative way. We just angered, and then this one, there's strong emotions that are pro Ray and against Ray and for Ray. I think you're going to see the SJWs and feminist movement hate this in this one, and we're going to also sort of be like, meh, not hate this, but I think we'll be meh towards it. So I think we will all come together through Star Wars Episode 9, but not through a positive thing. I think we're all going to go through this going shiny lights, flashy jumps, a lot of, pandering, bringing back what we think is Palpatine, but in a stupid way that we're not going to like. We're going to be like, really? I mean, maybe if they went through the Darth Plagueis situation, which we did discuss, which you should check out, by the way, Fanatics of Film and us, we did it was a really fun discussion about this. We discussed the possibility of Darth Plagueis, but then we thought they're just not smart enough to put Darth Plagueis. I don't think they're going to go that route. So, I think it's just going to be what happened. What we just the Force just wakes up people randomly now, because the Force is now a person or a presence or a God, and so it could just do whatever it wants according to this new Force that they created. I talked Star Trek, and here I am talking about the Force. But yeah. I think we have to start turning off these things, and I really want to see a new Star Trek, though, like a good Star Trek, but a real one, a real Star Trek. And it's unfortunate because as much as I like the Orville's still a carbon copy of something we've already seen. I want to see something new, and I always thought, to me, the vision of Gene Roddenberry was always to boldly go where no man has gone before, or what's the name? No one has gone before. To boldly go where no one has gone before. And that's to me the essence of Star Trek. To expand our horizons, to expand what we know, what we think we know, to expand to challenge our views, but not to preach to us, more to open the discussion. See, that Star Trek was never to preach, it was to open discussion. It was to get us talking about something that we were afraid to talk about and get the discussion going, and make us think in a different way. This is not trying, this show, Star Trek STD, is not trying to talk. It's not trying to open discussion or dialogue. It's legitimately closing down dialogue, shutting it down, and trying to force us into a narrative that they want. And that's, again, it becomes the Borg mentality. It's trying to create, the Federation is the Borg now. It's not an actual open to discussion. Let's expand this idea. Let's think about, can Data be recognized as a sentient being? He is a machine. And I love that episode. You ever remember that episode where Data, someone wanted to dissect him because he was property of Star Trek, because he was a robot, and then Captain Picard fought for him, making him like they actually did this whole tribunal where he had to prove that Data was a sentient being. Hey, Nancy Henrique, how are you? To look at situations from both sides and with open mind. Exactly. That's what Star Trek is about. It's about looking at all situations from different perspectives, and to broaden our horizons on that level, and to think openly, and again, open up the discussion. But what STD does is it shuts down discussion. It tells you this is right, this is wrong, this is what you have to think, this is what you're not supposed to think. These are bad guys, these are good guys, and that's it. The Orville, actually, for as like kind of a decent show, it is a decent show. The Orville actually does open discussion. It doesn't preach. It can be preachy at times, but I do think it's not as preachy. I think it's always good to open up the discussion and let us kind of like be mature adults, mature people, and make up our own mind. And that's, again, Hollywood is not treating us like we're adults. They're not treating us like we're smart. Not even adults. You can be a kid and still be smart and still understand. You can be young and still understand these things. You know, you have to challenge, even if you are young and you may not understand it to a degree as if you had more experience. You still want to challenge the mind to think in different ways. And they treat the audiences now like they have to preach to us like children. And that's the thing that offends us even more than anything else. Oh, they'll tell us, oh, don't worry about this. This is just a technicality. Don't worry about this. Oh, that's That screws up canon. That's just a technicality. Don't worry about these things. These things don't matter. Just the thing that I want you to worry about, the thing that I want you to take a look and really examine is what we're telling you to examine. You know, that this is good, and this is, you know, this, the female leads and inclusive. We're not giving anybody any substance. The whole first season of Discovery, they had all these these people on the bridge. You didn't even know their names. They didn't even explore one character. I mean, that's when I said I was done, because how do you have a Star Trek? How do you have any show where they give you one character, two or three characters, and all these other characters on the bridge didn't matter at all? They had very little dialogue. You didn't even know the culture they were, what planet they were from. They didn't give you anything. It was so bad. You just focus on this. This is all we want you to focus on. This, Michael Burnham, that's it. Her story, even though she's so unlikable, the reason she's even captain, or the reason she was even in the rank she was in the first episode boggled my mind. How did you even get to that rank? You're so stupid. I didn't even understand how she could get to that rank at all. Being that way, it made no sense. So, you know, and then she just challenged her captain. You don't challenge your captain. First of all, she wasn't being unreasonable. Anyway, that's if you watch the first one. It was just such a stupid. And then we're going to start shooting because that's what Star Trek is about. It's about shooting first, asking questions later. That's what Star Trek is about. And that's rather annoying, to be perfectly honest. And see why I don't talk about it? See how heated I just got? My face is almost as red as my hat. Look at this. Look at this. I'm all red and tensed up. That's why I tried not to, because I get very emotionally angry at Star Trek for that reason. And I'm when I talk about Luke Skywalker, I get that angry too, because what they did to Luke.
They turned Luke Skywalkers into smugglers on an island. We want the precious. Gives us the precious.
I hated what they did to Star Trek. I mean, sorry, what they did to Luke Skywalker. Yes, talking is very good. It gets it off your chest, and that's what we need. We need therapy. This is what this is about, guys. This is therapy. This is just now that you got this out with the bad and with the good. Suck up the good positivity and release the anger to the world. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The fact that we could discuss this and on this forum and YouTube is amazing. And that's almost, this in itself is Star Trek, you know, YouTube. It's the future. It's like, what can we explore? What can we do with this technology? How far could it take us? And it's brought us together in a way that Star Trek thought too. I mean, I talk to people. I'm now talking to people from the Netherlands, for heaven's sakes. Talk to people in Japan. I've always loved that. It's like, again, you have this whole concept about how can we, you know, imagine Star Trek did something like that where we can discuss, we could talk through the telephone or through, you know, Skype, Star Trek Skype, but from different dimensions. I mean, they could have expanded technology that we already have and done it in a more grand scale. Like, you know, maybe you could speak to someone in another dimension, maybe, you know, and another version of you. How awesome is that concept? Where you can actually talk to yourself in an alternate dimension through Skype. Hey, Shaney, how you doing? I'm like the bad Shaney, so I got to pretend I got this bad, evil mirror verse Shaney with a weird mustache, and my hat's on backwards. That's what it is. This is what makes me evil. My hat's on backwards. Good Shaney, dark Shaney. Good Shaney, dark Shaney. Red Shaney, red Shaney. And just talk to myself. Just talk to myself and ask myself, what's got you down? What's got you down, Dark Shaney? And just be like, I hate the world, and I want. It's just the complete opposite of me. I'm just up there talking about I love Star Trek Discovery. How could you love Star Trek Discovery, evil Shady? That would be fun. That's what, I think I went too far with that whole conversation, guys. We're trapped in the SJW universe. Yeah, I know. That's what we are, but not for long. We're not for long, guys. I'm telling you. We're not here for long. Seeing The Last Jedi, Stormtrooper Babe says, seeing The Last Jedi in the theater afterwards felt like I was leaving a funeral. No one clapped. It was quiet. Yeah, and people were in mourning. Oh, by the way, thanks for subscribing, Frontman. I really appreciate that. If you have a channel, I shall go and do the same. That's what I do. I like to be brothers with people who subscribe. Anyway, yeah, from what I got from a lot of people, their experiences in the theater was very similar, where you went to go see the movie and it took a moment to process. A lot of people didn't understand what they felt at first. I feel like that's probably why you're getting a lot of silence, because a lot of people were just like, what did I just watch? What happened here? Because I don't understand what happened. It's almost like when you get like abused, you don't understand like right away what happened. It takes a moment for your mind to register what happened, and so you're in shock, and so you leave the theater kind of like, you drive home, you didn't even realize that you were driving. You just sort of like you're just driving home, just things going through your mind in the movie replaying. Was this good? Was this bad? And then that's why I think everybody was in that state. And I think the YouTube blew up because of that, because everyone wanted to know what everyone else thought. So like, I think that's the whole thing. Everyone went on to see, I got to see a million reviews because I can't process this information. I feel like something happened to me, but I can't figure out what it is. So I feel like I was abused somehow. I don't remember it. Someone roofied my drink during the movie. I came out with this memory loss, and I got to remember what the heck was it that bothered me. And then I think the more we started seeing people's outrage, and I think we started to understand what was going on and what happened to us. And I think that's why it was almost like a delay. And then we're like, yeah, I was abused. And this like regressive therapy where we just like the hypnotherapist just puts us into regression, and we come out and we remember. And then I was in the theater and I remember Luke was drinking titty milk out of a cow or some. What are you doing, Luke? Don't drink the milk. Oh my God, he's slurping it. Like, that sort of regressive therapy that they do in the doctor's office. He just starts freaking out. I think that's what we were all doing in sort of a way. We were just sort of like in that sort of mental state, so we had to like, what challenge what we saw by watching other people's reviews. And it was just, we couldn't get enough reviews. We had to watch a million. It wasn't just one or two. We had to just go on this. I know that me personally, I stayed up all night, days, watching review after review after review. People I didn't know, people I'd never subscribed to, average people. I had to see everybody. Is everyone saying the same thing here? Were we all kidnapped by Ryan Johnson, anal probed, and then beamed to the middle of the ocean where we drank titty milk from a cow? Force Awakens, I think, is the same thing, sort of, but in a less potent way. What I'm trying to say is The Force Awakens was not good, but I think we were blinded by the shittiness. You know what I'm saying? Like we sort of went in going, it was recognizable. It felt like Star Wars again, because remember the prequels didn't feel like Star Wars to me. I'll be honest. I liked the prequels to an extent, but some of them were better than others. And there were good things to like about the prequels, but the prequels never for me felt like Star Wars, except for the Revenge of the Sith. The last one felt more like Star Wars, but the others didn't feel like Star Wars. And they started talking about midichlorians and stuff like that. It just never. It took me out of like, this is Star Wars. What's with midichlorians? Is this Scientology? That's what I felt when someone said midichlorians. I'm like, is George Lucas a Scientologist? Because that sounds like thetan levels, and his thetan levels are high. And I don't know, that's what I felt. And so when we watched The Force Awakens, I think we were like, oh, the Millennium Falcon and things that we recognized, and I think we were sort of blinded by that, and we didn't see a lot of crappiness that was in there. And I think we were more accepted of it. And I think that's why the theories channels did so well, because the theories channels were there to fill the gaps that we didn't get in the movie. It was sort of like, this could be good if Snoke turns out to be Darth Plagueis. This could be good if Rey's background is a Kenobi. This could be good if Rey is a Skywalker. This could be good. You know what I'm saying? And we started to fill the gaps in the mystery boxes that we filled out ourselves by watching these fan theories. And I watched a ton of fan theories, and I liked them because they were like, oh yeah, I like that idea. If that turns out to be the truth, oh, that would be awesome. And then, but we all had our own theory too, that I'm pretty sure all of us kind of did. And so I think we were caught up in that. And then, so because we wanted to like it. And that's what I think they don't understand. We actually did mental gymnastics to actually try to like The Force Awakens. Rey, then when the Mary Sue stuff came out, where people were pointing out the Mary Sue, which we already kind of knew, but we were hoping that she wouldn't turn out to be that way. We were hoping, because I think we were hoping that she had an excuse for why she could build everything and do everything, and she could talk to Wookiees, she could talk to droids, she could build the ship, she could repair the Millennium Falcon better than Han Solo, she could fly it with expert precision for the first time ever, like she was doing flips with the Millennium Falcon. It would be fine if Rey were a Clinton, but then she'd be wearing pantsuits. I don't think I want to see Rey in pantsuits. I don't even like what she wears in this. That's another thing that bothered me about this trailer. Do you not think that Rey was just so boring looking? I don't know. Luke got cooler as the movies went on. Isn't that true? Like the first movie, Luke was a farm boy. He wore that farm boy look. You know, that you know what I'm saying? That outfit that was just sort of like a like that farm boy from Tatooine look. And then he, like the second one, he looked more like he was a rebel, with their outfits. Then by the third one, he was all black and sharp and awesome looking, and he looked finally like that, like he was like ninja, like ready to take that next step. And he looked awesome. He was like that. Just what he wore was just so reminded me of Bruce Lee. When he wore that like outfit, just really awesome. And so I think in this one, Rey actually gets worse. Her outfits just get the same drabby look with the same boring. She looks like the same farm girl from Jakku that they picked her up. She never changed her outfit. Like, look at least somewhat interesting. Like, she didn't even look interesting. Well, yeah, there was a story that developed Luke to become that made him, and it was almost like his dark side was being challenged, which is why he was wearing black. But it's just sort of like, yeah, she was wearing darker colors in The Last Jedi, but her it was just always the same. I mean, and even now she looks like she went back again to put on her same outfit with a few minor differences than she wore the first movie. And I'm just like, I don't know, like change it up. Like Leia looked different all the time. Leia looked like a princess in the first one. She looked more like a fighter as she went on. I liked how Leia developed in the way she looked. Han Solo looked like Han Solo, but that matches his character. He just wore a different jacket. But his character just, because you could tell he's one of the, he was who he was already. He wasn't going to change that much. He changed. His character did change, but just like who he was inside, he was already set up to look the way he wanted to look. Maybe he would wear a suit now, the next one. But I didn't like the way she looked. It was very boring in that. And then that's another thing with Star Trek Discovery. I'm going to keep going back to Star Trek because that's what this is about. The way they look. The cat, like, what is that? What are these outfits? What the hell are these outfits? They're not even Star Trek uniforms. Here's some blue uniforms. You all look the same. We'll put a little ruffles of gold trim. That's how the difference is. You're going to have gold trim because you are now Borg. They are the Borg collective now in Star Trek Discovery. Now Leia fights to protect galactic Medicare. Yeah, I know. I'll be damned if anyone dies in my war. Really? You thought you were going to go through this entire fight against, without losing people? And why the hell did you even have there was just so much illogical stuff. We can go for hours talking about this. And we have. And we just we'll continue. We will continue. We have this affront to logic on both sides of the like Star Trek Discovery. You know, the technology doesn't make any sense. It's everything is designed. I don't know, man. It's just you know what kind of gets me. I keep hearing they're going to come up with things that I love. And back in the day, way back when, remember, let's think way back years ago when we first heard they were going to bring back Star Wars, and we first heard they were going to bring back things that we loved, and we were excited for these concepts and these ideas. And now I'm fearful when I hear it. I used to like, oh my God, they're going to bring back Poltergeist. Oh, they're going to bring back the things that we loved from the 80s or the things we loved from the 70s or whatever year you were from. And we kind of were sort of like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what this would look like with the technology that they could do today and the movie making skills that they could do today. And I think we used to look at it with excitement. With Ghostbusters, they're bringing back the Ghostbusters, and then they brought back Ghostbustettes, which wasn't even Ghostbusters. It wasn't even recognizable as a Ghostbusters movie. There's no point to what they did. And not that I cared. Again, I don't care that they may put girls as Ghostbusters. Well, I do to an extent because the Ghostbusters weren't girls. So, you know, if you want to make a full female leads in Ghost movie, make your own damn movie. Call it something else. And I would love to go watch it. You know, but don't pirate another movie and then change and then give us a lecture during it and then expect us to just like it. And then put a shit product too. It's not even funny. It's got none of the wit. It's got none of the emotion. It's got nothing that the original had. It just almost played like it was the movie was played like it was a Saturday Night Live skit making fun of Ghostbusters, and it was actually a Ghostbusters film. And that's taking the actresses aside. But aside from that, now you got He-Man coming out, which I love He-Man. And I'm fearful. I'm like, what are they going to do? What's going to happen here? And it's like now I just like you keep hearing Gremlins is going to come out. Beetlejuice is going to come out again. They're bringing back all these things that we loved. The new Indiana Jones is going to be Indiana Joanna. And I'm like, wow, can I just, you know, like that Green Day song, Wake Me Up When September Ends. You know that song? I just want to stick my head like an ostrich in the dirt. And just say, could someone wake me up when SJW ends or whatever? just wake me up when everybody's through this phase, because I'm so over all of this, and like I'm so excited for certain things. I want to see ghosts. I want to see a He-Man movie like well done. Like I saw the Masters of the Universe movie when I was a kid, and it was just horrible. But I think this will even be worse. Alien 5, the xenomorphs are gay. You just have two xenomorphs. And then there's one. And they just start tonguing each other. This guy in the middle. You know, like that whole scene. And then you just come close. Then the two mouths come outside from each other's mouths, and they just start making out. They don't even care about humans anymore. It's just a big orgy of xenomorphs. I think we just took things too far, guys. I think this just went completely off the rails. I don't know what just happened there, but anyway, yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of, and not even the gay stuff. I don't even care. I just don't like when they force these things in, and it's not a natural process. I like natural processes. I don't mind with female leads. It has to seem natural, and don't talk to me like I'm a child. Don't preach to me like I'm a baby. Don't talk to me like I'm an evil white man just trying to rape every chance I get and mansplain all the time. I'm not that way, and I don't want to be talked to that way. just because there are guys who might be that way doesn't mean all guys are that way. So don't just, you know, and I don't like that. Don't take me out of the movie. I just don't want to be kicked in the nuts. I have to wear a jockstrap for every movie I go see now. I'm going to come out with two blue, my testicles, just like, hi, I came in. I went out like, I started talking like this when I came in. And I leave the theater and I'm, hey, did you guys like the movie? It was really good. Mickey Mouse wants us to talk like him. Yeah, guys. So what do you guys have to say about any of this stuff? I feel like I've been rambling a lot, a little long on, so I don't want to be repetitive. So I'm gonna head out. Got some stuff to do. It was a nice discussion we had here. I loved talking to you guys. I'm going to do more of these, as you know, and I'm still working on my documentary. I'm actually finished writing for you guys who are interested or you aren't interested. Doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you anyway. I've finished writing it. I'm going to be, and what this documentary is, I don't even know if I can call it a documentary, but whatever. You'll see when you see it. It's hopefully going to open up something that I want us all to kind of be part of. And what I mean by that is, I think we have a problem with the world. We all have spoken about it 1,000 times ad nauseum. And I think that what I'm trying to do is kind of pull it all together through this documentary series that I'm doing. Pull it all together, meaning trying to make sense of it. And again, I don't think that I know everything about it, but I'm just going to tell you my perspective of it and the stuff that I've learned. And so that's what the documentary is going to be, is just sort of to talk about and kind of bring it all into sort of like a complete overview of everything. And then I want to say, what do we do going forward? And how do we, I mean, to say fix this is kind of hard because you can't just fix this. It's not going to be fixed. It's not repairable. But going forward, how do we try? How do we, at least on our perspective, as you know, come together to sort of move forward? And that's sort of what I'm going to try to do here, and bring us all closer together as a community in open dialogue, open discussion. And like, I want to invite SJWs onto this, because I really think and I'm not talking about hardcores, you know, the ones that are just out for hate. I'm talking about the ones that are open to the idea of communicating and seeing our perspective as we see their perspective. And then somehow we can sort of meet somewhere in the middle. You know how you do when you have a discussion with someone? You say, well, you're wrong for this reason and you're wrong for that reason. Well, you might have a point and you might have a point. And then somewhere down the middle, we see eye to eye, and, you know, like the two aliens that just start making out. No, we don't make out, but we at least, you know, have an open discussion, and maybe we can come together on what I'd like to create, which is, and I think the best way for people to come together is through being creative. And I feel like that's the best way. You know, when you're in school and they put you at a table and they said, well, you work together with a guy you may not like, but somehow when you work together with that person on a project, you saw that person in a different way. And I just kind of feel like if we all work together on a project, and this project was something that we can, maybe through that, we can at least see eye to eye. And then no one could pick on it. We say, well, this was this was this. Well, SJWs had a hand in it, and feminists had a hand in it, and toxic Star Wars fans had a hand in it. I don't buy. But anyway, so that's what I'm trying to do. I hope I'm explaining it well enough. I know I have a hard time explaining this because it's a concept that's in my head that I can visualize and know what it's supposed to be, but it's hard to describe. So that's why you kind of have to see it unfold before. And so that's just sort of what I'm going at. So the next phase is making documentary, and then afterwards, with all your help, guys, because I'll tell you right now, not the help for the documentary, but afterwards, making the character. And you'll see what I'm talking. You'll understand what I'm talking about. All right, guys, this is the end of the session. I'm going to shut the hell up now, because I'm talking too much. Got the bionic bouche. In my French class, they used to call me le bionic bouche. the bionic mouth. So anyway, guys, so thank you guys for watching and tuning in to me. I'll have a lot more free time lately. I'm going to have more free time now, so I'll probably be doing a lot more videos. and probably gonna do another impression video. I don't know when, sometime pretty soon. Maybe an 80s impression video, possibly. Maybe an 80s with villain impersonations. I don't know, cartoon 80s impersonations. I'm gonna do one of those. I'm working on that, so we'll see. I'm not sure when that will be done because I've got so many things, so many fires in the burner going. And I'm a very bad cook. I can't multitask, and I'll just burn myself. All right, guys. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching, and till next time, I'll see you later. And Billy will be joining me one day soon too. So don't forget. I didn't forget about Billy. All right, guys. So see you later. Oh, before I go, I'm gonna say you guys check out these channels. Check out Fanatics Film. Check out Stormtrooper Babe's channel. Frontman, do you have a channel? Let me check to see. Do you have a channel? If you do, go check them out. Check out everybody's channel. Go check out everybody, and you guys should subscribe to everybody on that list here, because we're all community, and we should keep growing as a community. And so everybody who's on this talking, go check them out and subscribe. You don't have to subscribe to me, although you should, but you don't have to. That's fine. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for this.